Okay, so you want to play basketball, but you don't have that confidence because you don't know the basic rules of basketball, right? Today, in this video, I'm gonna show you basic rules of basketball. Hey guys, welcome to Things I Learned. My name is Prakash. In this channel, I post videos about basketball, filmmaking, YouTubing, and blogging. If you are interested in any of these things and want to learn more, then please consider subscribing because a lot of great contents are on the way. Every games have rules, be it basketball, football, volleyball, they all have their own rules. These rules tell a player what he can do and what he can't do in the game. Similarly, basketball also has rules. And you can do certain things and you cannot do certain things. So what is the objective of basketball game? The objective of basketball game is to put the basketball in opposing team's basket, and whoever scores high points wins the game. Now let's talk about lines and the court. The rectangular floor where basketball is played is called court. The court is divided into two halves by the midcourt line, also known as half-court line. Each halves have a three-point arc and a free throw lane and also a basket with a board. Okay, so that's all about court and the lines. Now let's talk about number of players. Basketball is played between two teams. All right, in NBA there are 12 players, among which 5 players are on the floor and 7 players are on the bench. But if you are playing casually, then you can have any number of players on your team. I mean, you can play 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, or 4-on-4, or 5-on-5. Right? But the important thing is both the team should have equal number of players. Now let's talk about how the game is started. In standard NBA game or college tournaments, the ball is tossed up in the air by the referee. It's done in the middle of the court between two players. Okay, most of the time these are the tallest player in the team. Okay, the referee tosses the ball up in the air and these two tallest player have to jump and flip the ball towards their teammates, and whoever gets the ball gets the ball. But if you are playing casually and if you are playing half court, you can simply start the ball from near the midcourt line. So what is the duration of basketball game? In NBA they play for around 48 minutes, and this 48 minutes is divided into 4 quarters. You know, they play for first quarter and there is a little bit of break, then second quarter, then there is break, and so a game is divided into 4 quarters. But they actually play, the duration of the game is around 2 hours, but they actively play for 48 minutes, which is divided into 4 quarters. When it comes to college games or university game or school games, the game is divided only into 2 halves, first half and the second half. The duration of the game in this school and university game is around 40 to 50 minutes, and it depends upon the tournament. So once we have learned the basic fundamentals of basketball, it's time to learn about fouls and violations. Okay, so let's get started. And first we'll talk about violations. Double dribble. There are 3 things you should put in your mind about double dribbles. While you're playing basketball, you cannot hold the ball unless and until you are either giving pass or you are shooting. Okay, let me repeat. Suppose you are playing basketball. Okay, now you can't stop the ball and again dribble. This is called double dribble. So when you are dribbling, your mind should be telling you, okay, I'm dribbling the ball, I shall stop only when I'm ready to either give pass or shoot. Otherwise, I'm not going to stop the ball. Because if I stop the ball and if I can't give pass or if I can't shoot and if I dribble, then it's double dribble. It's a violations. Okay? So this is the first thing. Second thing is, you can never dribble the ball with two hands. Like this, you can't, like never dribble the ball with two hands. This is called double dribble. You're not allowed to do that in basketball. Now, let's talk about walking or traveling violation. You have to remember two things when it comes to walking or traveling violation. First thing is you cannot move even a one step without dribbling. Let me show what I mean. For example, you got ball. This is walking or traveling violations. You cannot move, you cannot take even a one step without dribbling. If you dribble the ball, you are allowed to walk anywhere in the court. Yeah? Because basketball is a dribbling game, it's not a walking game. So whenever you get the ball, you dribble. You can't take one step and dribble. That's violation. That's called a traveling violation. Now, next thing is, whenever you are standing in the court, one leg is always a pivot leg. It's called pivot leg. And what pivot leg does is it allows you to move in a circular way around the court. In the court, sorry. Okay? One leg is always a pivot leg, and I cannot move that pivot leg before dribbling. For example, this is pivot leg. Okay? Now, if I just move this and dribble, then that's again traveling violation. So, two things. First thing is you cannot take more than a one step when you are not dribbling. Second is you cannot move your pivot leg before dribbling. Now, carrying violation. See, whenever you are dribbling, your hand should always be on the top of the ball. But as a beginner, what I used to do is dribble and put my hand under the ball like this. And this is called carrying violations. Okay? We are not allowed to dribble the ball by putting our hand under the ball. So you see, this is carrying, because you're putting your hand under the ball and you're dribbling. Under and dribbling. You're like rolling the ball. This is carrying violations. When you're dribbling, your hands should be on the top of the ball. Always on the top. Can be a little bit side, but can't be under. That's carrying violations. And now, let's talk about backcourt violation. This is applied only when you are playing full court. And what happens, what this rule tells is, whenever you or your team takes the ball and goes beyond mid-court line or half-court line, you cannot come back. For example, you are dribbling the ball, you're playing full court, you're dribbling the ball, you just cross the mid-court line or half-court line, and there is a lot of pressure, or defender is coming. You cannot go back to your court once you have crossed the mid-court line. If you do that, it's called backcourt violations or half-court violations. Very simple. And finally, let's talk about held ball. Okay, one ball is for one player. Okay, if two players hold the ball together, it's called held ball, and that's also, let's not call it violation, but the game stops once a referee sees two players holding one ball, and after that he decides what should be done and whom should the ball given. Well, look at my grammar. And referee decides whom the ball should be given. Also in advanced game, or college level game or in NBA, there are rules such as 3-second violations, 5-second violations, or 24-second violations. Is these rules are for a little bit advanced player. I'm gonna make another video for that. Once you have learned about fundamentals and violations, it's time to see fouls. Very important. So can you hear that sound? You can, right? Please don't focus there. Focus here, what I'm saying. I'm sorry that's very distracting, but please focus on what I'm saying. I'm talking about very important things, okay? Fouls usually occur when there is unnecessary physical contact between you and your opponent. You are not allowed to hit, slap, or push, or hold, or make any illegal contact with your opponent player during the game. And the most important thing is, if you make 5 fouls, then you are out of the court. You will not be allowed to enter the court for that particular game. And if the foul is very dangerous, then you might also, be not allowed to play for whole tournament. So be very careful when it comes to foul, and try to avoid making fouls. First, shooting foul. In game, whenever you are in shooting position, either it's inside the 3-point line or outside the 3-point line. When you are shooting the ball, or when another player is shooting the ball, no one can disturb the player. If anyone disturbs while shooting, then that's shooting foul. Unless a player from same team comes and pushes, opponent players can't do anything. When a player starts shooting, they can block the ball from a little bit of distance, but they can't hit that player who is shooting, or they can't even touch. Now there are 2 cases. Let's say you're shooting basketball from outside the 3-point line, and your opponent hits you in some way, makes illegal physical contact. If you miss the shot, then you'll get 3 free throws from free throw lane. All right? And when this happens inside the 3-point line, when you are inside 3-point line and you are trying to shoot, and your opponent comes and makes illegal contact, or touches you, hits you, pushes you, and at that time you'll get 2 free throws. And that's what happens if you do shooting foul to your opponent player. All right, so whenever your opponent player is shooting, try to stay a little bit at a distance. Don't try to make physical contact with him. You can block, but no unnecessary contact there. Okay, that's shooting foul. Now let's talk about charging and blocking. Let's say you are in the game and you are moving towards basketball. This sort of fouls occur when you are advancing toward basketball, towards the basket. Okay, for example, let's say you are dribbling the ball and you are moving towards basket, and a player is there, or your defender is there, who is in a very stationary position, very firmly standing, who is very stationary. You cannot hit him or push him or go through him. That's charging foul. Similarly, or however, if the defender, let's say you are dribbling the ball and going towards the basket, and if the defender is not established, if he's just moving and trying to block you, that's called blocking foul. All right, so this charging and blocking depends upon whether the defender is standing stationary, is well established or not. Okay, if he's well established, you have to make some moves to go across him, or to you have to do some faking. But if the defender is not well established, he's just trying to block you, then that's fall, okay? And that's called blocking fall. Now, let's talk about flagrant fall. Flagrant fall occur when there is very harmful physical contact, or playing aggressively, hitting, slapping, pushing, and most of the time these are intentional. And whenever this sort of incident happen in basketball, or like if you or your team player make flagrant falls, then your opponent team will get free throw or ball possession. Finally, let's talk about technical fall. Technical fall can be committed by player as well as coaches. And this sort of fall has nothing to do with physical contact. It's all about your manners, how you behave in the basketball court. If you use foul language, or if you start making unnecessary argument with players or referees, that's when this fall is called technical fall. And do try to avoid this fall, play with respect and have fun. And that's it. You've learned basic rules of basketball, including falls and violations. If this video was helpful for you, then please consider subscribing. If I have missed any important point, or if anything stood out for you, if you liked something that I talked about, then please mention it in the comment box so that all the other friends can learn from it. And also, if you want me to make similar videos in future, then please consider subscribing. And so many ends. And this is the last end. Next video is going to be about how to dribble basketball, and it's coming very soon. If you don't want to miss that video, also consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay amazing and keep practicing basketball. See you in the next video.